I had my stroke while I was asleep. 98% of sleep stroke victims never wake up. The way I use AI is I like it to fill in the holes for me. So I'll build out, say, a process or even a workshop, and then I'll go back and say, hello, AI, what's missing? I'm not talking about work-life balance. I'm talking about life-work balance now. And how do you fight through the things that are going on? You know, life is lifing right now. If I don't trust you, I won't buy from you. I don't care if you're selling automobiles, you're selling umbrellas and flip-flops. If I don't trust you, I will not talk to you. If I don't talk to you, I won't buy from you.
This is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast, where we are here to educate, equip, and inspire people to build extraordinary companies. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can get updates every time we drop a new episode. Now let's get it started. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Meekins, and I am going to be your host today. And in the studio, we have Roderick Jefferson. How are you, sir?
Absolutely fantastic now that we're together, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I tell you, man, I was really looking forward to our show last week, and the gym just was not kind to me last week.
We've all been there, especially thinking that we're still, 20, and it will humble you.
That was it right there. That was it right there. My pride just got spilled like all over the floor. I was just, but we're back. We're back. We're back. So thank you so much for your patience with that.
Absolutely. I'm glad to see that you're back on the mend, as we say.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do us a favor. Can you introduce yourself? Give us a little bit of who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Absolutely. So I am Roderick Jefferson. I'm the CEO of Roderick Jefferson and Associates. There are two parts of the business. The first is I am a fractional sales enablement leader. So I go out and help companies build out their processes, their programs, their platforms, etc. And then on the other side, I am a keynote speaker. I've been doing that, God, for about 30 years now. And so there I'm speaking on a couple of things. One, sales and marketing, primarily around how do you leverage AI to drive productivity and profitability. And another one, a health and wellness that I think we'll talk about in a bit, that I call Stroke of Success. That one is far more personal. That is literally about how do you ensure that you have balance. And I'm not talking about work-life balance. I'm talking about life-work balance now, right? And how do you fight through the things that are going on? You know, life is lifing right now. And so I'm giving some experience around those pieces that I've personally dealt with that actually led to me having a massive stroke and actually coding and dying and being brought back, and the tenacity and the fight and the will and determination that it took to get back to where I am.
Wow. 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 We've got a lot to dig into. We've got a lot
Absolutely.
to dig into. So you're an expert in the sales space. How did you get here? What's your background?
My background's in sales. I started out as a biz dev rep, a BDR. I was promoted up to AE, went to President's Club a couple of times. And what do? We got promoted to sales leader. And I said, no, thank you. First of all, I'm not really up for taking a cut in pay. And secondly, I've realized I love the process of selling a lot more than I did taking down deals and ringing the bell. So I talked myself into my very first sales training, whereby I was simply just sharing some basic templates that I did. But I told my VP, I said, if you do this, two things will happen. I will help people accelerate to revenue and to hitting quota. And secondly, I guarantee you that you will have more people going to President's Club than you'll have budget for. And he said, if that's the case, you got a new job. And that's where it started. And from there, I've had the pleasure of having just an incredibly blessed tenure in my journey. I've spent time at Siebel, eBay, HP, Oracle, Salesforce, Marketo, etc. Call myself the black unicorn of Silicon Valley, right? Because I don't know anyone, and it's not about ego. I just don't know anyone that's been blessed enough to do those kind of things. And then about 7 years, I said, okay, enough. And I stood up my own consulting firm. And what happened at that point, I got a call from an old buddy of mine. We had done 4 or 5 companies together. He brought me back into corporate. And then a year ago, I said, that's it. I've done everything I can. And so I am now out consulting. I'm doing workshops. I'm doing keynotes. I'm speaking at associations and sales kickoffs and all those fun things. I'm doing things that I love now.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's the great thing sometimes about just embracing that freedom. So you kind of glossed over having a stroke and dying, and I mean that's kind of a big deal.
Kind of a
What
big deal.
what got you there? What got you through it? And how did you know you were going to come back?
First of all, let's go. How did I get there? I think it was a mix of things that all found just the perfect storm. It was the fact that I had gotten comfortable living at that red line of stress. As an executive, I was an SVP, and I had a great role. I've got a big team or organization. I'm flying around in corporate helicopters and jets and blah blah blah. But I wasn't taking care of myself, right? And I was trying to pour from an empty cup, even to my team, and also I found out that as a high level athlete, I had what's called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. If you remember Reggie Lewis and Hank Gathers and what happened to them, I was going down that same road. It's an enlarged heart. And so the normal heart squeezes, no blockage, right? But the normal heart squeezes at 65, 75%. When it gets down to 20% cardiac arrest, you die. When they wheeled me into the emergency room, I was at 22% heart function. And that was the high point of my stay in the hospital. I'd been there, I guess, about 10 days, and I was having a really difficult time breathing. They had put me on oxygen, and then suddenly, excuse me, I heard a lot of noise. The machines were going crazy, flashing, and then I heard code blue, my room, not what you want to hear. And then it became almost dreamlike. It's like going to the dentist, and when you get twilight, where you can hear things, but you can't really move around a lot. So I heard the machine go from beep, beep, beep to beep. I flatlined. Now, I
You
didn't see
heard
a
that.
white light. I floated up to the corner of the room, and I'm looking down on the doctors and the nurses working on my body, sucking all kinds of fluids out and doing chest compression. I look to my left and I see my mama. My mom died in 1999. So my instant thought was, okay, mama, I'm ready. I've done everything I can. Let's go home. And she looked, and I know it's her because she had that same purple moon that she always wore. And your mom, right? And
Yes.
so she said, no, baby, I was sent to tell you two things. One, you're going to be okay. They're going to figure this out. And secondly, you have a new purpose in life. And she gave me my marching orders.
Wow.
Now, at that point, I'm like, okay, good. So how, mom, what am I supposed to do this? How do I do it? What is mama? She's gone. Now I get sucked back into my body and my chest is killing me, but I'm still flatlined. Right. And now I should tell you that at this point, I couldn't speak. My entire left side was paralyzed. And so I couldn't move at all. I'm just laying there. And so when I get back into my body, I hear the one word nobody wants to hear: clear. Oh, we know what's going to happen now. And I'm like, no, 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 please don't do it. We don't want that. So as I hear him rubbing the paddles, and as he starts to come down to hit me with the paddles, I go from beep to beep, 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 and I'm back. Now, thank God he was on my right side. I grabbed his hand because on the left side, I couldn't move my left arm. I would have just got zapped. And so from there, it just kind of goes into a whole protocol. And that is the new book that I have coming out on October 28th, which will be my 4-year stroke anniversary, as we call it. And so I not only tell this story, but I tell a whole lot of details of good, bad, and ugly, what you can do, should do, don't want to do. And I tell the whole story about what it took to get back to where I am. And for me, it's literally my 4 F's. And it is faith, family, friends, and fun. And it's that fourth one of fun that as adults, the more successful we become,
Hmm.
the less we actually focus on having fun. So it has changed everything about my life, my conversations, my friends, my friend circle has changed now. I don't take anything for granted because, we've all heard the old adage of tomorrow's not promised. How about when you don't have a tomorrow?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
changes everything.
Yeah. Wow. 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 I'm struck with, as you said, I mean, we're used to that grind, get up in the morning, do your thing. And, you threw fun in, I like the idea of fun, but I mean, it's like, how do you, I'm trying to put together, like, how do you balance that out? You know? And another way to say that perhaps is how do you give yourself permission to be able to stop the grind and stop everything else and do things for yourself? And that's
Well,
a
you said that.
legitimate question I have.
It's a great question. And I want to rephrase, if I may, something you just said. I didn't give myself permission, I gave myself grace. I gave myself the same grace that I give other people. I started talking to myself the same way that I talk to other people instead of constantly pushing myself. The one thing I did was I promised my family now that I will be more present. If we're here, I've got a little 18-month-old granddaughter. If she's there, the phone does not come out. I don't care how much it goes off. I'll check it to make sure that everybody's okay, but I need to be present. I've missed too much. I missed my daughter's eighth grade graduation. I missed my son's football games and basketball games because I was traveling. And I had convinced myself, Rick, that I was doing this to take care of them, provide and protect, because that's what we do. A part of it was true, but I was also feeding my ego. I loved saying I was the SVP of, I worked at this company, I did this, I flew here, I was going there. When in actuality, had I not come back from that stroke, here's what would have happened in this order. The company would have put out some really nice flowery words on social media, probably put out maybe even a press release. They would have sent the distribution check to my wife. Then they would have opened a rec to replace me. That's in that order. So now I realize what's really important. It's the people in your circle. It's your tribe. It's your chosen family. Those are the people that really matter. And what did I do to give myself grace? I left corporate completely. I said enough. Why would it's like having, I'm not saying corporate's a bad investment, so let me be clear, but just an analogy. If I am buying and mortgage into a home that's constantly losing and hurting me, what do? I get out of that house. So that's what I did. I got out of that house.
Oh, that's bold. That's really bold. I mean, this is you're sitting here and you're getting for the past 25 years, you were getting a paycheck. You knew the paycheck was coming. You knew how much it was. You knew your bills, et cetera, and you just said no more. Tell me about that.
It was part of that purpose that my mama said when I saw her. And one of the things that rings in my head is, and she has just a litany of things that I remember, but this is one thing. Faith is never tested in good time. You either trust God or you trust you. There is no in between. You can't get on the fence. Now, I also had, bear in mind, that I had never shut down my consultancy completely. Switch required me to do a complete revamp on my brand. And it taught me a lot of things that I didn't realize I even had inside of me to get this done. So I had to, refresh the website and my entire brand and a new logo and new, because the world was different now. And it was completely different than 7 years ago when I was doing this. And I wasn't that person anymore. So I said, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it the way that I want it done, because again, I want to help companies and individuals. But if I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it. It's just not going to happen.
I love that. I love that. I love that. The faith component though, that's something that I want to hear a little bit more about. When I think in terms of faith, and you kind of alluded to it, but I think in terms of faith, it's taking those steps, not knowing where you're going, how you're going to get there. It's that thing where you'd probably be crazy to do it if you didn't have faith. Tell me a story about that.
Yeah, well, I'll start in the very beginning, and I left this out earlier. I had my stroke while I was on the road. I live in Northern California. I had my stroke while I was asleep. 98% of sleep stroke victims never wake up. So I'm in the 2% club. So faith starts right there. I woke up. The other piece was I know for certain that God has a sense of humor because my stroke was in my speech center. Remember, I said I was a keynote speaker, right? I get paid to talk. This was not only to slow me down, it was to make me listen. I could talk all day, but bear in mind, I had no voice. So all I could do was lay there and listen to whatever God wanted to say to me. I couldn't walk, I couldn't run, I couldn't ignore, I couldn't crawl. All I could do was listen. And there is a difference between hearing and listening. And I am well aware of where the delineation stops. That's for certain. And it took that to fight back. And that's where I think not only the faith, but I think that old athlete kicked in where it became a competition, me versus the stroke. Oh, you're not going to win.
Hmm.
I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I had to learn how to walk. I went through speech therapy. I went through physical therapy, through occupational therapy. I mean, I had aphasia. I stuttered so bad that literally I stopped talking for 2 full weeks because I couldn't get anything out and I was so frustrated until my wife said, "If you don't start using it, you'll lose it." And by the way, she diagnosed my stroke over FaceTime.
I'm sorry, what?
She was on FaceTime with me. We get on the call every morning and we talk whenever I'm on the road.
Huh?
She diagnosed my stroke.
She
She
saw
walked
like
me
your face or
through
something, or?
the stroke protocol.
Wow, 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 wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, and so if it wasn't enough that we've been together for 35 years, I'm not going anywhere now. She knows all my meds.
That must have been amazing just having your wife, just going through like all of this transition with you. I mean, you're a corporate guy, you're making you're got a paycheck. She's there, you have a stroke, you have an epiphany about a new purpose in your life. You're quitting you're starting this. I mean, how instrumental was she in this process? And of course you have recovery as well, from your
Absolutely.
stroke.
I will say this, that woman has been my corner through 12 surgeries and 2 strokes now over 35 years. And so where I go, she goes, and vice versa, we go. And it was never a moment where either of us ever asked, why me? We never doubted that we were going to get through it together. We just kind of went back to back and said, you know what? I got your back covered. You got mine. And whenever I felt like I was, having a low point day or I was, feeling bad for myself or depressed, she'd always come by and go, "You got first world problems. Or first, these are things that are going to work out. You're going to be okay. The lights are on." I said, no checks are bouncing. The mortgage is covered. And all I have now was time. And it was just going to be a matter of time. And never once did she doubt that I was going to bounce back. And never did she allow me to feel that way. And she knew when to push, when to pull, and when to kick. Believe me, there was some kicks in there too. I had to go from not walking to a walker to crutches to a cane to limping to learning how to speak again to that first time stepping back on the stage to go and tell this story. I've never been so terrified in my life of the first time when I did this keynote. And writing the book was cathartic on one side, and on the other side, it brought back and it dredged up a lot of PTSD. Oh, I knew that I had to do it and go through it though, because I didn't write this book for me. I know the stories. I've been through it. Mine was for the caregivers. It's for the people that are struggling. And the book technically is not even about the stroke. That's just one component of the book. It's really about those people that are out there living at that red line of stress, like I said. Those people out there that don't have a definition of fun or a break or don't know how to be mindful, or like myself, the workaholics that think that we're still 18, like you said, going to the gym, right? Until the universe says, watch closely. You're done doing what you're doing the way you're doing it. And if you don't, as my neurologist and my cardiologist both agreed. So I had my stroke on October 28th, 2021. And they both said to me, first of all, you've got to be a miracle because there's no reason you should be alive. I flipped from LA back to Oakland mid-stroke with altitude and cabin pressure. Should have never even made it to the ground. But they both agreed that had you not had your stroke, I would have been dead, permanently dead, before Thanksgiving.
Wow, wow, wow. It's those moments, it's like every time I hear a moment like that, I've had other guests that have come back from, not similar, but life altering situations, and they've always talked about the extreme changes, that they've made in their lives. They go from, as you said, that red line, they're just driving, they're building these companies, et cetera, et cetera. But all of a sudden, they're 100 pounds overweight, they're sick all the time, they're
I
this,
lost 40 pounds.
that, and not losing and having fun. I think that's such a blessing, everybody that gets to come back from that and tell those stories.
Thank
Um,
you.
I'm kind of laughing a little bit because my gym incident like was one of those moments for me. I won't get into it, but it's definitely one of those things where it's just like things could have ended really badly for me. But anywho, I want to talk about your consulting. You have the book Sales Enablement, and now you've added AI to this. I'm assuming that's the joint. Tell
Absolutely.
me about that.
Yeah, well, like I was saying earlier, nothing is the way it used to be, right? And that includes enablement. First of all, although I'm one of the founding fathers of enablement, helped to build the Sales Enablement Society, which is now the Revenue Enablement Society. I rarely talk about sales enablement anymore. I talk about go-to-market enablement now, and I'm talking about the entire span of go-to-market, from marketing to BDR, sales, solution consultants, all the way out to customer success. Because I think the problem is, one, just talking about sales and enablement is far too myopic. And it also creates this hierarchy where we put them up on a pedestal and everybody else just kind of works for them. We all know that there's no way that this works that way. Everybody has to hold their piece. And then it also creates more alliances and accountability at the same time to make sure everybody is aware of what's going on. And we all respect each other in the different places. And I say, I'm still a sales guy at heart, right? And so with that change, what could we do now to drive more profitability and more productivity with AI? And that is changing the way we used to do things, from how train, how we onboard, how we handle continuing education, how we handle and delineate the difference between managers and leaders. How do we build out succession plans? All the things that infamously we do, we now can do it at a scale that was never possible prior to the big splash of AI. And I wouldn't say the invention because it's been around for ages, but now it's ingrained in everything. So what AI now allows us to do as practitioners is literally to ingrain enablement in and weave it into the fabric of each of the companies that I work with. And the first thing we talk about is culture, because culture is what happens when nobody is watching. And I love the fact that, and what delineates my company is, we actually leverage AI to make things more human, not to
Interesting.
remove people, but to repurpose people sometimes, and other times to up level people.
Yeah. 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 Interesting. Do me a favor, just for our audience, for clarity. What do you mean when you say sales enablement?
Yeah. So for me, sales enablement, and the definition there is a person or organization that is there to drive enhanced revenue across that go to market span by bringing in consistency, scalability, and repeatable tools and processes, programs, and platforms. So it could be, if you're a young company, right, and you're growing, we really tend to focus on onboarding. How do we do that in a more concise and accelerated speed to revenue? As you grow up now, how do you ensure that you have clear, consistent messaging and that it's repeatable? You don't want people out there talking about your competitive advantage and key differentiation differently. So now we may put something like, a certification or something of that sort to make sure you get consistency, right? As you grow up even bigger, now we've come to the conclusion, and I'll say it because I was one of them. Most sales leaders are sales managers and they don't know how to coach. What they know how to do is build clones of themselves or try and peanut butter across their team. So we use this more for things like case studies and role plays, right? To make sure that you can do this consistently. But I firmly believe that everything starts at the top, and that's at your executive staff, and then it rolls down. So we work across all of those with marketing, product marketing, HR, engineering, and sales to make sure that there's consistency or inconsistency. And so when you pull that all together, and the last piece is revenue focused metrics and measurement. I'm not talking about smiley seats and butts and seats like we used to do, right? But what are we doing to accelerate speed to revenue, to make people to revenue faster, right? What are we doing to build customers for life by tying the front of the house and the back of the house of customer success and sales? What are you doing now to prepare your people for better conversations, to handle objections, to do better discovery and qualification? Because right now, clients, and I think everyone that's listening and watching would agree that prospects are not asking us to educate them anymore. There's so much information out there that it's ridiculous. They're asking us to do two things. One, differentiate us and our competitors, because right now everybody looks and sounds kind of blue and light blue. And the other piece is, what are you going to do to help me as an individual accelerate by working with your company? And that's the piece that gets left out a lot. And that's literally what closes a lot more sales, because people buying is still an emotional move, right? And so if you can now narrow it down for that individual, wait, am I going to help you get a promotion? Bigger voice at the seat, maybe get you out of the doghouse? I need to know this so that we can start building that relationship, so I know what direction to steer the ship in
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
you as the captain, not me. So my job is to make you look like a rock star.
Right. Love it. Love it. Love it. How have you seen AI make the greatest impact outside of, training and development?
And what I mean by that is, as I said earlier, we can do so much more, so much faster right now. And the way I use AI is I like it to fill in the holes for me. So I'll build out, say, a process or even a workshop, and then I'll go back and say, hello, AI, what's missing? And they'll go, oh, you forgot these 6 things. Well, I should probably add those in, right? Really glad that I asked that question, right? Because there's a whole section on resources now for stroke survivors, for caregivers, for friends and family, for how do you handle this as a colleague when this person comes back to work? Or what happens with that person's never going to come back, but they still need that support. So there's just a plethora of ways that we can leverage. And most of the time it's about people. It's not about money. When you take care of the people, the money will come. When you do the right things the right way consistently, and it's about your clients, your customers, your prospects, money.
I get a lot of, and I'm sure you do. I get a lot of promotions about companies offering AI solutions for creating podcasts, creating videos, creating blog posts, creating social media posts, et cetera, et cetera. What is your opinion on that? Thinking from the perspective of, just an overall go-to-market strategy.
Mine's going to be probably different than anyone else that you've talked to. View AI no different than I do Word, Excel. And there are 2 points. One, it's a productivity tool. And second, it will only push out as good of whatever you put in. The better prompt engineer you become, the more effective AI is. If you give it generic prompt, you're going to get back generic outcomes. I'm not one of those people who says, oh, you should never use. No. There's a time and a place for it. But you use it as a productivity tool, not a crutch. Don't lean on it. Use it to balance you, but don't lean on it.
It's funny when you're talking about this. I'm dating myself, of course, but going from the typewriter to the machine word processor
I remember.
and it's like there's that push pull. It's like do I do this or not? And it's like we're here again. Obviously, there have been a lot of technology between then and now, but
Absolutely.
yes.
Well, quite a bit. I think we've been through reel-to-reel, cassettes, CDs, iPads, all that, right? Now, the one thing that I want to make sure that I really hit hard, and that is use it for the betterment to help others. Because if you use AI properly,
Mhm.
it will actually make you and other humans better. Now, let me give you the flip side of that coin. I'm not foolish enough to believe that AI is not going to kill some jobs and has already, should I say. I don't believe that AI is going to take away all jobs. I believe AI will take jobs from people that don't know how to be a prompt engineer, because it's going to create jobs as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And when it comes to sales specifically, people still buy from people because AI can give you content. I mean, content beyond any of us living. You still need a human for context.
The thing I've been, I guess, skirting around, the idea have been skirting around is just, with so many people creating content, AI created content, AI generated content, it just, and I guess, most people probably say the same thing. It's just like flooding the market, with sales and marketing. I mean, how do you, as a salesperson, as a sales lead, make the impact that you need to make in order to, generate your sales?
Great question and point. I will give you an analogy as an answer. Do we still have horses?
We do.
Okay. There was a point where horses were supposed to be obsolete once we got motor vehicles. We still have horses, right? We just have horses doing things differently than what they used to do. Now, let me align that to AI. The same thing. You're still going to need to have humans for that conversation, for that context, for like we're doing to be able to share best practices and stories. And AI can't build trust yet. You still need people for trust. And the foundation of sales is trust. If I don't trust you, I won't buy from you. I don't care if you're selling automobiles, you're selling umbrellas and flip-flops. If I don't trust you, I will not talk to you. If I don't talk to you, I won't buy from you. It's the same thing in sales. Just replace the product with whatever it is you sell at your company. The foundation of all sales is two things: trust and empathy. AI can do neither of them.
It's interesting. I saw an article the other day on AGI. It's supposed to be that next level AI, and they're talking about it being able to have a human level reasoning power or something to that effect. How far? How?
That's relative.
Yeah,
Reasoning
yeah,
power, human reasoning power, I think it's still relative. Now, come back to me 5, 10 years from now,
yeah.
3 years from now, the way it's going, it could change, but that's always say, yet you still need humans for now. Will it be always that way? I don't know, because I think that AI is incredibly terrifying
In what way?
in the wrong hands.
Yeah. Guardrails.
In the right hands, it can do wonders. But just like every other tool, like I said, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint can be used for evil if you choose to, right? Same with AI. So it really comes down to how it's being utilized and what's the purpose.
What kind of guardrails do you think companies need to put in place in order to manage AI usage?
That will take us down a road that I don't know that either of us want to talk about right now around AI ethics in America. There's so much that we could talk about on that one. No, in all seriousness, I think that we're going to have to do a better job of ethics. And I'm watching now where, Rick, I could put you anywhere right now saying anything that I want you to say in your voice print, right? So what I think we as humans have to do is we're going to have to be more, it's the word I'm looking for, skeptical, unfortunately, right? And we've got to take some time to do a little research, because we both know everything on the internet is not real. Now, the question is, what's the definition of real anymore? That's the first thing that has to be answered. What is the definition of real? Because I could go build an avatar right now and talk to you in 220 different languages. I can barely handle English. This guy, right? But I can have it talk to anyone I want with a little tool called HeyGen. Now, the upside, it will endear me to anyone that is their native language.
Mm-hmm.
Second is, downside, I don't speak that language. So how do I know what I'm really saying? It's kind of like we all know somebody that has an Asian tattoo, and we're like, hi, you know what it really says, right?
I've asked that
The
question.
same thing. So you know what? I think it comes down to the fact that, like I said, we have to be a bit more skeptical. And it's unfortunate that things are, guilty until proven innocent these days. But at the same time, we've got to do a better job of research. Now, research is also slanted. So it's like You can go watch the news on 7 different channels
Hmm.
and hear the same story told 12 different ways.
Yeah.
So you've got to really dig in and figure out what works for you and what balances. And I go back to that word.
Yeah. 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 I guess I was having a couple of different thoughts at the same time. It's just like we talk about research, and it's as you mentioned, like research can be slanted. It's like you can certainly find 5 lies on the internet that say, something similar, about something that, you believe. It was I mean, it was like even before AI came
That's
about, it
why I
was like,
stayed off WebMD, because
yeah,
it
yes.
always says you're going to die in 17 minutes, whatever it
Yeah.
is you have.
We can find something. We can find
It will
something to
find
die for.
something. That's right. My eyebrows hurt. You're going to die in 17 minutes.
So funny. So you've got a book coming out soon. You talked about your book. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. It is called Thank You So Much. It's my baby. It really and truly is. And it's so personal. It's called The Stroke of Success, and it will be out in October 28th. That will be my 4-year stroke anniversary. And it literally tells what we've been talking about in depth. And it's really not, I've never had a stroke. Well, first of all, American Stroke Society has proven that 1 out of every 4 people over the age of 25 globally will incur a stroke. Now, you may not have one, someone in your circle, but 1 out of every 4, that's a lot. So I talk people through, even to the point of in depth. And remember, I said my wife actually diagnosed it. I give you the steps so that you're aware. I give you some things that work for me, and never once in the book will I say, here's what you should do. No, no, no. What I say is, here's what I've seen work and or not work, or that worked for me. And I'm in a number of support groups. So I'm not just leaning on my own experience. But again, it's not just about having a stroke. It can be, you know what? I lost my job. How do I handle it? The market dropped and now my 401k looks like a 10k. How do I handle that? My kids are going off to college and now I'm an empty nester for the first time. I talk about things that are kind of a horizontal conversation, but I give you in-depth case studies and experiences around.
What made you take that particular slant on the book?
It was cathartic and it was personal on one side and the other side. I wanted it to be broad enough to where I could hit a vast audience. For me, this is not about just selling books. I'll take just out. This is not about selling books at all.
Mm,
Literally about impacting people's lives positively. And why did I go this route? Because that was part of what my mama told me I was going to do as my new purpose. She said, you may not be able to make life easier for people, but I can make it a little better. My job is to give a smile, a warm hug smile to what we consider the invisible people. That could
mm.
be the people that when you check into the hotel, the valet, the waitresses, the flight attendant. If I can give them one smile today that they would not have gotten by incurring and coming across each other's paths, then you know what? Mission accomplished. And so what I wanted to do was this book to be that soul hug, that soul smile for everyone that reads or listens to the book, because I'll do an audio book as well, that they would not have gotten.
I love it.
I'm not here to fix anybody. That's not my goal at all. What I am is to inform people and to give that big smile and soul hug to everybody that listens to and reads that book. If I can
Amazing.
do that, then you know what? When I do go for my permanent time here on this earth, I can look at my mama and go, mission accomplished. Your little boy did something right.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. So it's going to be out on, you said October 28th?
October 28th, but it will go into pre-sale next week.
Awesome. Where do we get it?
It will be up on my website at roderickjefferson.com, and it will probably also be up on Amazon.
Awesome. Awesome. You had a free, you have some giveaways on your site that the audience would probably really love to hear about.
I do. I am a give to give kind of guy. So what I did was I actually put 3 different things on the website that are free. And if you go onto roderickjefferson.com and you click on the resources tab And then you click on ebooks. There are 3 books there. One is all about onboarding and what I call everboarding, which is the continual education after those 90 days or 6 months of being a newbie. The other is a PDF on harnessing collective intelligence, because look, people move in and out of jobs. Give best practice on how do you keep some of that knowledge in-house, even when they move on. And the final piece is, how do you supercharge your sales team with AI? And it's literally a checklist of things that you can go do, or at least go and compare where your company is right now on the continuum of leveraging and deploying AI right now.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to put all those links. We're going to put the link to your site in your show notes. Make sure we list all 3 of those items. What would you like the audience to remember most about our conversation today?
That no matter who you incur, be nice. And the reason is, first, and the older you get, the more you realize, the planet is a very small neighborhood. You will incur people again, or you'll be surprised. How many times have you ever been on social media and saw connected friends? You're like, how would these 2 ever be friends? I wouldn't even put them on the same flight somewhere. You know what I mean? That's one of them, because you never know. And the other piece is, be nice, because you don't know what somebody's going through. And just because they don't look like they're going through something, or they don't look haggard and beat down or run down or depressed, doesn't mean that they're not. You may be that smile, you may be that wave, you may be that conversation that changes their entire life or keeps them honest. Just because you made them feel seen.
So important. That is so important. Thank you so much for that. Roderick, thank you so much. Loved our conversation. I'm moved. I really am.
I'm really honored and
thank you.
I really am. Thank you so much.
It's my great pleasure. Folks, thank you so much for watching or listening to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. Keep winning.